We got a good color to talk about today, and it's named after one of my favorite Beyonce songs. The color code is OC46, and we've got the code. Now let's get to cracking. Did you all request this one so you can hear me do Beyonce's crazy vocal run that she does? I'm not doing it, just so you know. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm really sorry. The color we're talking about, of course, is Benjamin Moore's Halo, which is part of the Off-White color collection. Baby, I can see your halo. And it's a fairly warm off-white with an LRV of 73. What a sick segue that was. Let's get serious here. We're talking about color, okay? Now, to call the color neutral can sometimes be unclear and frankly inaccurate. Technically, any color can be neutral in a certain context, but us paint fans, we usually equate anything that is a bit passive as a color as neutral. You'll often see grayish in that category and sometimes taupe. Most undersaturated tones of colors tend to be classified as neutral. But for the largest portion of neutral colors that we see in paint color are the warm grays of the world. And that's what Halo is. It's not the warm yellow aura that we see in artistic depictions of halos over top angels. In fact, this color just seems to be more of a gray beige with the slightest hint of green. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a true undertone in the color and makeup of the color, but it just tends to have that green aspect sometimes show up in certain lighting conditions. If you have a sneaking suspicion that your personal lighting will have an impact on your eventual paint color choice, and spoiler alert, it kind of always does, then it would be a great idea to have a mighty board and test out Halo on that so you can bring it home and see the color in your personal space, rather than judge it based off of a computer screen or a mobile phone. I mean, those OLED screens on your phone, they're no joke, they're really good, but nothing beats the real thing. I'll leave the Mighty Board's information down below if you're interested in picking a couple up. There have been many off-whites that have rose in popularity the last 10 years or so, and Halo is probably in the upper echelon, I would say, especially for those more contemporary farmhouse aesthetics. Its tone really suits everything farmhouse has to offer with repurposed wood and stone, but because of its added gray element, it keeps it feeling a little more modern. What are some colors that I would enjoy pairing with Halo? Well, when I think of angels, in the cliche sense of the term, I think of them having a bit of a relax in the clouds. So a natural paired color would be cloudy sky. This is awesome because the name works perfectly, which is pretty crucial, but the colors themselves also fit nicely together. Cloudy sky isn't what you would think it is as a color. It's not a bright blue that you would want only to see in the kids' room. It's actually a calm, fairly deep shade of blue that brings a distinct yet undersaturated color to the table. This would absolutely be fantastic as an accent color off of the walls. So a kitchen island or maybe a vanity, just enough to bring some classy drama to the space. I'm not disqualifying it as a wall color. I mean, I'm not gonna do that to any color really. As long as it fulfills a certain level of criteria, I think it works no matter what. But a more straightforward implementation of cloudy sky would be in a more selective accent fashion. For me. I also wanted to add a green into the mix, and although my gut was initially telling me something aquatic, I also didn't want to give you all two blues to work off of. So instead, I opted for the slightly warmer green color called Sweet Caroline. I'm not gonna sing this one. I've done way too much karaoke in my day. That song is dead to me. The color Sweet Caroline is not, however, and with an LRV of 67, it's not going to compete with Halo in the depth department, at least in terms of how light it'll appear. It will show a much larger amount of green, so the depth of color will be clearly more in Sweet Caroline's favor. But I love doing this because when you have a warm gray like Halo, which can sometimes show a tiny bit of green, by introducing a color that's way greener, I don't know if greener is a word, but let's go with it, you won't necessarily notice the green in Halo nearly as much. Sweet Caroline will pull your focus a bit more, allowing Halo to be the backdrop color, which sounds like a cop-out and sounds boring to some, but sometimes you need a color to take a backseat to other elements of your design. Imagine a palette of all accent colors. I bet that sounds like heaven to some of you. Boho. If you're having trouble picking a trim color for Halo, just think about what the color represents. It's warm, and so should your trim color be. Now, you don't have to go French vanilla warm, but something like Simply White would do really well or cloud white. Just remember my little wall and trim rule thingy that I like to talk about. If you want some visual contrast between your walls and your trim, keep the LRV decently spread apart, usually about a 10 difference or so. Halo is technically an off-white, so you want to keep your trim that much lighter, around an 85 LRV. And if you don't know how to find this information out, you just have to check the company website of whatever color you're thinking of. For example, on the Benjamin Moore website, it's just right under the name of the color. So they make it real easy for you to get that info. That's just my rule. Of course, rules are made to be broken. There are certain situations where maybe you want a very subtle difference between your trim and your walls, or in other cases, you can just pick the exact same color for both. No wrong answers. Rules are made to be broken, but it's just good to know some of the little tricks that people use to help add some clarity to your decision making. Let me know down below. And like most of these videos, this was a color that was requested by one of you. Dying to hear about something else on color code? Just type it in the old comment section down below and we'll pick the one with the highest potential for me to sing about it. Just kidding, I don't really want to sing on camera anymore. Okay, bye.